everybody. This is BS of the Week, the brand new Big Sky centric show for GFL or Gridiron Football. Excuse me. I'm Patrick Driggett, coach of the Berlin Fire. I played many seasons ago in the Big Sky. Back then we were a different Fire team. I think we were the Florida Fire, but I've been a Fire coach a couple times. I just returned this season, which was an amazing experience. I also was in the inaugural season of GCAA as the coach of Tokyo Tech. So a little bit of history there, but definitely don't have the experience of most of the coaches here. But I'm very happy to be back. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'm Kevin Lucy, coach of the Glasgow Rushmores, and you think you have no experience? Wow. Basically, I'm a newbie. This is my second season. Absolutely loving the game. Full of enthusiasm for it. I was lucky enough to go to live draft. Met a lot of lovely people there. I've got a great mentor as well. So, yep, I'm a happy bunny at the moment. And Tad, what about you?
My name is Tad Hastings. I used to be in the Empire. I played there for many seasons. I then moved over to the Big Sky. I'm now taking over the Sisu 66ers. Have not been to a live draft yet. Will be hopefully coming very soon. And back to you, Patrick.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining us, guys. Kevin, thank you for organizing this whole thing. We've wanted to have some more activity in the Big Sky. Hopefully there's some more to come. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about last week's results in the playoff games. We're going to talk about next week's games. We're going to dig into the Fire and Rushmore's games because Kevin and I just happen to be here. So why not? That was a fun one too. And yeah, I think it's a good opportunity for us to just talk about what's going on in the Big Sky. And so let's start with the LFC. Tad.
With the LFC, we had the Sharks in the Shadows. The Shadows walked away with this game to 35-19. And then we also had the Rushmores, which ended up being a 13-10 win for the Rushmores, which ended up going down to the wire. So this is one game that if you haven't watched yet, watch it. It's actually pretty cool. And for next week's game for the ALFC, we have the Rushmores at the Hornets. And I'm going to give I think the Hornets will take this at home.
No, you can't say that.
Why not?
Sorry, Kev.
I'm sorry. I just think the Hornets going to take this one just because at home. And then the next game, we have the Shadows and the Buccaneers. And the Shadows going to have a little chip on their shoulders because the Buccaneers at the end of week 10 end up taking the coveted bye week after they beat me in week 10. And I'm also going to say the Buccaneers are also going to take this game, all because of home field advantage.
Okay.
Awesome. So I'm going to talk about the PFC. Last week, the Packers eked it out against the Generals, and honestly, that was totally attributed to an 80% completion ratio by the Packers quarterback. Awesome performance there, well-deserved win as the away team against the Generals. So that was a pretty awesome one there. And then also the other team that was the away team, the Maroons, won 24-22. So some really exciting close games in the PFC. I think that talks a lot about the strength of that entire conference. Obviously the Conrad effect is strong. Strong competition breeds strong teams. And so you can see that these close games are really showing that. Next week, we've got the Maroons at the Titans. I'm going to say the Maroons are going to win against the Titans. It's Conrad's conference. The point differential is real strong on the Maroons. I think that's going to be pretty overwhelming for the Titans at home. And then we have the Packers at Rivets, and it's the Rivets. So you can guess who I'm picking there. It's Conrad. So yeah, that's what happened. That's what's happening in the PFC next week. And so we're going to dig into the Fires over Rushmores a little bit, just to since we're both here and it was fun. So there's this meta conversation, right, where if you saw on Pardon the Interception, The fire was predicted unanimously over the Rushmores. When I watched that episode, I was confused because I thought there was no way that was going to be possible. Kevin and I had a battle. I think, was it week 7 or week 8, Kevin? Do you remember?
Yeah, week 8. Yeah.
Yeah, week 8. We had a battle, and even then I was like, "There's no way I'm going to win this game." That in that game, it was raining. I said, "You know what? I'm just going to throw it all on the ground, make it a ground and pound," and I won. I don't know how, but I won, thankfully. But I was not feeling good about this playoff game. I had a little bit of hope. But yeah, Kevin, why don't you talk about your game plan going into this playoff game between our two teams?
Okay, well, game planning for me it's quite a simple. I'm still learning the ropes, so it's quite a simple process for me. The first thing I do is I go into the preview of the game, look to see Tim and Reiki, what they predict, and I was shocked to see that I was a 6-point favorite, which made me wake up a little bit and go, okay, you maybe have a chance of this. Next thing I look at is basically the rankings. So I'm looking at the defense rankings in particular. So I looked at the fire defense rankings and found that you were 26th against the against the pass. So what I then did my offensive game plan, and I altered the percentage of times that I run versus the percentage of times that I pass. So I threw some more passes into the game plan. Next thing I do is I then go into inside the numbers, and I look at what your season's record is, how many times you pass, how many times you rush, and I found that basically you rush 220 times, and you've passed 150 times. I also noted that your quarterback was injured. So basically, I viewed it that you were not going to pass very much. You were going to rush the ball, So I set up my whole defense based on the fact that if I can stop you rushing, I didn't think you were going to do very well in the air. So basically, I chose the personnel to try and stop the rush. I chose the formations to try and stop the rush, and I chose the stances to try and stop the rush. And then the rest is basically left to chance. So that's my game planning sort of process, as it were. Not very complicated, but it worked the other day.
It did work. Yeah, you really shut down Rasmussen. So, who's been kind of a good rusher for a lot of the league, in the last couple seasons. So, for me, I approach the game in a very data-centric way because I myself use data and spreadsheets and things like that in real life in my job. And so what I do, my process every week is I look at my opponent, I grab the XML file at the bottom of the play-by-play of previous weeks, and I wait. I almost always wait I won't do every single week because obviously people change over the season, right? They adapt, they train people and things like that. And so I take the last couple of weeks of play-by-plays of my opponent, I download those, and then I run it through I wrote a Python program, a very simple one that rips it all out and puts it into a spreadsheet. And then I just start looking at the data. I use pivot tables. I look at what formations you use, at what down and distance, what runs, how many plays you're kind of edging where. I also read the play-by-plays just to kind of see. Sometimes just looking at the data can be a little overwhelming. So I read the play-by-play just to see, when stances change. And so I build my game plan around what the opponent is doing. And in this case, I saw some themes when you pass in what formation. I think in pro set, you don't do the long passes. So I knew that I would look for a stance change there. I think it worked pretty well, to be quite honest. And it really came up to a coin flip. But I was pretty proud of my game plan. I take probably an hour and a half most weeks, hour and a half, 2.5 hours at the most for game planning. Sometimes if I want to write a new script or something, to look at something new, that'll take longer. But week over week, I'm taking an hour and a half, 2.5 hours at the most to game plan. And I definitely took at least an hour and a half on yours. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. You had a great game plan. So thanks for the good game, Kevin.
I really brilliant game.
Yeah, well deserved, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I'm going to pass it off to Tad, who is going to talk a little bit about the turning point of that game and what he saw.
The turning point of this game, basically, before we get into that, all the way up until like 50 minutes plus into the game, the Berlin, excuse me, the Russians kicked a field goal to make it 6-10. They were still down by 4 points. They needed to score. But the problem was the Berlin Fire ended up getting the ball back, and they ended up starting running the ball, driving the ball all the way up to about 53 minutes and 30 seconds. And this is where Rasmussen, all he needed to do is keep the chains going for the Berlin Fire. Well, I think the coach of the Russians pulled his guy to the side, Carter's, and said, listen, get me the ball.
Danny, I need that ball. Get me the ball.
You need the ball.
Get me the ball.
Get you the ball.
Are you gonna get me the ball?
I'll get you the
I hope he doesn't kill somebody.
Need the ball. If we don't get it, we have no chance at winning this game. Well, he got the ball, and he actually made Rasmussen, who's one of the best running backs in the Big Sky. He made him hit him with a big hit, fumbled the ball. The Russians end up getting the ball back. So that was one of the very first turning points. The next turning point was a 4th and 1. If the Russians didn't get it, the Fire is getting the ball back, and then they end the game. They end up getting the first down. This is, I think, is the biggest turning point because I think it totally demoralized the Fire, and they just kept on, ended up rolling the ball down the field all the way up until they scored their next touchdown. And then they ended up winning the game 13-10. So basically 2 plays, a fumble, turn the ball over, and then the 4th and 1. And those 2 plays just ended any chance that the Fire had of winning this game.
Great job, Kev. Great job.
Yeah, I mean, I was really pleased because we managed to shut Rasmussen down most of the game. There are a couple of things in there because basically, yeah, we got the ball through a fumble, but then we kept it for 4 minutes. And we just kept moving the chains and moving the chains and moving the chains. And 15 plays later, we get the touchdown. And then the other thing is we've still got about 1.5 minutes left after that. And I was really pleased with the defense because you then had 4 downs where you didn't move the ball 1 inch and gave the ball back to us. And that was the end of the game. So I was happy with the defense as well. So it was a good game all around.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. I'm happy for you, Kev. Honestly, it's like, I love good games. It's not always fun being on the losing end, but I like it. If it's going to happen, it's against a good person. So
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So Tad, thanks for that breaking down the turning point, and also I think you had some reminders for us for the whole league.
Yeah, I've got a couple housekeeping notes for Big Sky. If anybody else watching out of there, don't forget to get your Hall of Fame nominations in there. If you haven't voted yet for the Pro Bowl, get your votes in there. You can still currently do poaching offers. So if you want to steal somebody's coach, get in there and try to put some offers to get them off the other team. And the trade boards are up. So if you haven't put a trade board up or just want to talk about something, get your board up. Yeah, that was pretty much about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Tad. Yeah, that's great. I need to get a trade board up, honestly, because I think I have some people I want to shop. So look out for that Fire trade board. I'm gonna plug myself.
just so you know, I was the first one in the Big Sky to get the board up.
That does.
Yeah, well, I'm not letting anyone see my team until I'm out.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, the disadvantage of being a playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, this is the BS of the week. For the postseason, we're going to continue this. We're going to try to continue this. Hopefully, you all like it. We're going to pick games of the week that we want to look at a little bit. We'll talk about the results and what's coming up in the off season. We're hoping to look at upcoming draft picks and things like that. For the regular season, as we roll into that, hopefully we're talking about our players of the week and coaches of the week, who knows, of the week, conversations. We'd really love to talk about things that the coaches are talking about. If you're talking about your team and things happening with it, we want to bring that up in the show and kind of bring the community to everyone. And so, yeah, that's it. Hope everyone has an awesome week, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.